Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Aceikith Gaming, back with a League of Legends. We're currently in pre-season, coming to the closing end of it.
30 seconds
And I've been doing a lot of experimenting. So obviously you may know, obviously during the closing end of last season, I was coming out of support and starting to play jungle. I've decided to experiment during pre-season through every role, apart from AD carry, because that does tend to be my worst role. And also experiment with some champions as well to try and learn what ones maybe I do tend to work with quite well. So I've now pretty much decided what I'm going to play for the most part for during next season. So we're actually going to be playing our, I would say, our main champion for next season, Mordekaiser. So Mordekaiser I've already been playing the closing end of last season in jungle because he was very powerful. He was in the closing end of season 2022, going into 2023 season. That is still the case, even though he has been nerfed quite hard in the jungle, but in top lane, he is still very powerful indeed. So we're up against a cheese Warwick top lane, which is designed in a way of basically snowball top lane, make the opposing top laner useless, of which then at that point you can do whatever really you want, basically. So we're not going to be looking to be fighting with the Warwick a crazy amount. It's just a matter of try and farm up and just try and survive the early stages of lane phase. Obviously that isn't going to be as simple as 1, 2, 3, but the more that we are able to stay within CS of Warwick, the better. So for the most part of lane phase is going to be a little bit boring. But that is just because if we even attempt to fight with the Warwick, we are basically allowing him to do what he wants to do. So it's going to be up to my other laners and also my jungler to basically do the harder work. And then just, for me, just remain as useful as possible. So the other lane, the other roles, so we've got a Belveth jungle, arguably very powerful if you know how to use it, against a Skarner, which you don't see Skarner too often, but a good Skarner player will be able to do quite a lot. Mid laners, you've got Aceikith, which is a very efficient poke champion, very long range as well, so in late game, Aceikith would hope to not be targetable really, but that's only if the likes of say Skarner and Warwick literally runs up to them. To get to the Aceikith, you'd hope he has to get through a Nautilus, he has to get through a Belveth, and he has to get through a Mordekaiser. As you can see now, I know that the Warwick is, you know, it is a little bit ability based as well. As you can see, Skarner is now going to try and pull him for a gank, so I just immediately back away and give it a little bit of time, just in case Skarner is looking to maybe do a second gank unexpectedly very soon afterwards, because he might be hiding up that bush right now. We do not know that, because obviously I've got the minimap covered for the enemy side. But that was my thinking, so I don't want to be doing anything too much. And now I'm basically pulling in the Warwicks, and that way, you know, if he is looking to try and do something with the Skarner as well, it's either Skarner's wasted a lot of time, or I'll put Warwick in a little bit more of a vulnerable position because I'm near my tower, he's not. So as you can see, the Aceikith did manage to get a kill on the Azir quite early. Azir's the enemy top laner, mid laner. Obviously you would have seen him possibly in a lot in Worlds if you did see him, if you did watch last year's Worlds as of me recording this. I'm actually recording this still in 2022. You will see this after the new year. So Azir is been a little bit more popular recently because of him obviously being played a lot in Worlds, and also pre-season everybody's trying out new champions. That's why you're sometimes seeing these type of cheese picks, you know, like a Warwick top. And if Warwick top works for you, perfect. You know, but obviously some other players will look to play in such a way that, you know, it makes you not be able to play so well. So as you can see now, I'm now trying to turn a little bit more aggressive. Warwick has effectively no mana. For me, I don't use mana. My abilities, although I still have prioritatively ability power, my thing is basically with my W that I can generate a shield, which is actually very good against a Warwick. So the more bigger of a shield, the more I can actually duel with the Warwick. So although Warwick is a duelist, at this stage where he's low on mana and he's about a third of his health, really he shouldn't be fighting me at this point. He's now basically a little bit behind. So I'm now going to start possibly looking back. So my thought process at this stage of the game is one of two things. I can either just try and rush Rylays, because I am looking to go Jak'Sho this game. All of our champions, apart from Nautilus, all do a lot of damage, especially from decent range, apart from maybe like the Belveth, a little bit more closer range. But for me, it's more of disruption and just absorbing as much damage as possible. Maybe even ulting a major threat, whether it might be the Warwick or the Pike, or if we're battling for Dragon, ult the Skarner. Now the issue with Skarner is that I'm never really going to kill him in the Death Realm, because of how his abilities work. He is in one way a counter to Mordekaiser. If Mordekaiser tries to go in and Skarner actually ults the Mordekaiser to bring him into the middle of the team, then I'll try and ult somebody, and I may not survive being in the Death Realm, which is not something that you want with a Mordekaiser. The Death Realm is used to basically get base stats off of an opposing champion that you absorb into it. And if obviously Skarner is just bringing you into where the AD carry is with ease, it makes the Mordekaiser's job very difficult. It does. So going on with other champions, we've got a Twitch who is already ahead of a Jhin, as to be expected. Although Twitch is a late game hyper carry, Jhin is very burst reliant. So he requires a little bit more of a slower game, where Twitch can actually have a little bit more of a faster paced game, depending on how him and his support is playing. As you can see, I'm now going to start just trying to take away some of her Warwick's health, because I am able to now just absorb as much damage as possible, because I did have full shield back there just at that moment. So a bit of a bad engage from the Warwick. But you can see the usefulness of a Mordekaiser versus a Warwick if you allow them to have time. Unfortunately for our bot side at the moment, well, I say bot side, it's more of the jungler. The Belveth is already 0 and 2, as you can possibly see. Azir got killed very early on by the Seraph. Since then, Azir's got 2 kills. And both of them is on the Belveth, which shouldn't really be happening. Belveth should be looking to try and farm for the most part, I would say. You know, being an ex-jungle player. But at the same time, obviously, you know, they're probably looking to try and get lanes ahead. And instead of getting them ahead, they're actually putting them further behind. Because they're actually trying to do too much for what their champion can actually do. So here and now, I am actually looking for a play to try and get Herald. So I noticed that the mid laner isn't around, possibly backed. You don't expect an Azir to roam. Warwick is being pushed into top lane, and Belveth is nearby. So if the Skarner was to come along, I could just ult him right where I am right now. As you can see, Azir comes back onto the map. The Warwick comes off of the map because he's pushed in top lane now. But I'm already doing Herald with obviously Belveth as well. And we managed to get Herald off of that. The Skarner is quite close by, so I don't really want to be fighting that right now, because my top lane is actually in fact in. So all I'm looking to do is just try and get all this farm as much as possible. It's not going to be the biggest deal in the world if Belveth gets some of the farm. One of the good things about Belveth obviously getting Herald is that now you can actually get these minions turned into her special type of minions. And all we're looking to do is just try and get that push and maybe try and get an additional shield. Now here's the little bit of the problem with that, is that now the Skarner is now here. He's going to ult me into the opposing tower. The unfortunate thing is that the Warwick was on the left-hand side of the Warwick. So when his fear went off, as well as that, the Bel'Veth went further towards the tower, so they had to use flash as well. I altered the Skarner, trying to hope that the Bel'Veth can deal with the Warwick. I didn't actually notice that she was 0 and 2. This case now 0 and 3 until this very moment. I then realised how far behind the Bel'Veth was compared to the Skarner. If I had known that, I would have actually just altered the Warwick and just think, right, just take out the bigger threat. For, you know, just to protect the Bel'Veth and not allow her to be killed. So a little bit unfortunate that we do get killed in that exchange, but we are only a little bit behind on farm compared to the Warwick at this very moment. But as well as that, obviously the Twitch is doing quite well. Jin did die again recently. Warwick is actually doing a good engage on this part, but maybe you should start thinking about maybe just trying to get a little bit further away from me now, because I am going to be doing a lot of damage with my passive up, which is one of the big things what makes Mordekaiser so powerful at the moment. So I make kind of a little bit of a mistake not actually trying to go all in on that particular exchange. I probably could have gotten a little bit more damage if I was a little bit more all in. But I was being a little bit persistent. But I noticed as well that the Warwick has bought the Vampiric Scepter, which goes towards Blade of the Ruined King, which helps out his healing quite a lot. So that is going to be quite problematic.
Red team has slain the dragon.
So yeah. The Xerath unfortunately gets killed, as well as the Bel'Veth was on top of that. The Azir gets another kill, by the way. The unfortunate thing for me is that although I'm actually doing quite well in top lane at this very moment, the Warwick has got a did actually get a double kill when he killed me and the Bel'Veth in that top lane exchange earlier on. So although I've been doing pretty well in top lane, the main reason to how I've actually been killed was because Bel'Veth was because me and Bel'Veth were both jointly trying to do too much. The Warwick does end up actually ulting me. Maybe he should have waited a little bit longer for that exchange with the ult, maybe. But now that he uses ult, he can't really get directly on top of me unless I misplay it. So I'm probably going to be back in soon. I believe I am getting close to Riley's. On top of that, my health is a little bit low, and I actually do tell the Bel'Veth at this moment, because I don't know where the Warwick is. I actually tell the Bel'Veth that she shouldn't be hovering around that area, because if Warwick notices Bel'Veth on a ward, then Bel'Veth is even more toast, and it will put me even further behind. And knowing that, you know, like, although Warwick is ahead at the moment, I don't want him to be snowballing. You know, I don't want him to be getting any further ahead than what he already is. So, some mythics are starting to come up on the board. The Warwick has completed his Blade of the Ruined King, as I've completed my Rileys. As well as that, the Skarner has managed to get the Iceborne Gauntlet. And the Azir has got Tempest. So obviously the Azir is doing quite well because of the exchanges with the junglers. The Bel'Veth obviously shouldn't be giving away free kills to an Azir. So I noticed my shield's actually quite high. And I actually end up losing out on this overall. Thankfully, I do manage to survive that, but the Warwick did actually use barrier in that exchange as well. But you can see how much healing that the Warwick is able to do. What damage I've just managed to do right there and then is basically being null and void. And now I just ult him because I just think to myself, right, let's just try and do as much damage as we can. Ironically, for some reason, the Warwick decided to just try and do a load of auto attacks on me under tower. Although he is a bit nutty at this stage in the game, he should be winning the 1v1 against me. But because of him being a bit lazy and thinking how he's going to be killing me, he ends up getting himself killed. He does. It doesn't help with me ulting as well, but I think he could have actually survived that exchange. So in all of that as well, I will get the top lane tower, which will be the first tower in the game, gone. Should I be destroying the first tower in the game? Probably not. But because the Warwick has basically given me his basic stats, which is quite a lot of attack speed, bear in mind, because that is what Warwick is kind of based on. Now, unfortunately for me, I am going to get caught by the Skarner. So I do try and flash away, and I think as well at this point, I just think to myself, right, I would want to try and not give Warwick anything else, but I do become a little bit lazy on that as well. I do. So unfortunately, I get killed trying to go back, when I probably should have gone straight back to the tower, but I didn't know where Skarner was. So a little bit of a lazy base from me, and should have gone back to the tower at that specific moment. But Skarner is one of those champions. He's a little bit more unique compared to most, especially where like he can ult a carry into basically the enemy team completely, where they just cannot escape, you know. And Skarner is very good against Mordekaiser for that reason. But as we get tankier, I am going to be a bit more than nothing but a disruption, while still dealing a decent amount of damage because of relays. And I will be getting a demonic embrace as well. That'll be another thing I'll be looking to get later on into the game. So Nautilus did die a short time ago. Not a great amount of stuff happening apart from obviously the Azir. But the reserve does manage to get shut down, while Warwick was actually roaming down to mid lane. So obviously I've not got my mythic yet, so, and I know that we do scale compared to the enemy comp. You know, Warwick will fall off quite hard, Pike will fall off as well. Although Azir is a very big carry, sometimes he just cannot really do much in the overall perspective. So I end up going all in. It is a 2v3, which then turns into a 3v2, and then very soon after it's just a 3v2 for us. I ult the Warwick, thinking, right, I just want to get rid of the biggest target. Twitch unfortunately dies, but I do kill the Warwick, and I get his basic stats. So yet again, I am able to do quite a lot of damage. And I think about trying to go for the Jin for the moment, but he's a bit too far away, so that is that. So we get a kill, they get a kill as well. They do unfortunately get the dragon. And Zareth is now going to try and just try and get a bit of pressure on the Jin. We are now going to back, because we've probably got quite a lot of gold. And as you can see, we do get Jak'Sho, the protein, which is one of the brand new tank mythics that came within Preseason. It's a pretty stupid mythic, I will say. All the new tank mythics are pretty insane. So I'll just move my mouse for a second. So basically, this is what Jak'Sho the protein does. So it gives you 2 stacks of armor and magic resist, up to 8 stacks. And at max stacks, it becomes empowered and instantly drain enemies for around 2% of my max health as magic damage, and heals me myself for the exact same amount, which is reduced to 1% against minions and monsters. My resists are increased by 50% until the end of combat. So a lot, and as well as that, as the mythic passive, I do also get 5 armor and 5 magic resist per legendary item. I've already got 1, so I'm getting an extra 5 magic resist and an extra 5 armor, which is quite a lot. I noticed that there's nobody on the map, so I'm thinking that everybody else is basically going to be coming top lane, and I basically do not want to get caught in that exchange. Neither does the Belveth. Good flash, and just get ourselves out of there. and then we can continue getting stronger, which is the whole point of this game. We want to remain as strong as possible, while not actually, you know, allowing the enemy team to get too far ahead. Now, the little issue that Belvis is now having is that now she's getting invaded. Knowing where everybody was and knowing that she had no flash and barely any health, she should have backed with me as well. And if the blue was gone, so be it. But instead, she tried greeding for it and got herself killed. Meanwhile, in mid lane, sorry, the Xerath manages to get a very good stun. Allows me to be able to pull in the Warwick yet again. Which, although this does kind of actually give Warwick some of what he wants, at the same time, it does also mean that Warwick can't do quite so much. Unfortunately, the Xerath does die, but I am going to try and do as much damage as I can before I do have to go back, because I am low health again. But this is what I'm talking about. I'm doing a decent amount of damage, while also just being a nuisance to the enemy team, where I'm just basically soaking as much as possible. Like if you look to the bottom left-hand corner, like I'm near enough at 3k health. I am. Like Jak'Sho, I believe, gives me 400 health, as well as 30 armor and magic resist, and it gives me ability haste. Which the ability haste is another thing that makes Jak'Sho quite good on Mordekaiser. It's for that reason. You know, it's not just the tankiness. On top of that, obviously the Violator gives 400 health, and the Lord Dominic, Demonic's Embrace, I believe, gives me another 400 health on top of that. So these similar items I would have built on Malzahar back at the beginning of last season, as well, when I used to play mid lane, back at the start then. So, but at this point in the game, I am very, very strong. If you notice, Jak'Sho is that big of a item spike, and it's such a powerful item. Even Warwick's got Jak'Sho the protein. That just shows how busted the item is. You know, like even a Belveth, if they were strong enough in dealing damage, it just needed a tank stuff. You know, the Belveth could even actually buy that mythic item. All that the enemy team were doing was just basically just trying to build damage. Which, for the most part, is what they're trying to do. I am now just going to ult the Azir, knowing that that he's quite low health, and also to force him to use his ult. At this stage now, though, I do need to escape because of the Pyke can ult me, and I do flash the Pyke's ult, which is great. So just get out of there. I now run into a problem, however, and that is that the Jhin is there and Warwick takes the shutdown. Which to me, honestly, I actually do not mind so much because Warwick will fall off. It would have been much more beneficial to give that shutdown over to an Azir or a Jhin, if I'm perfectly honest. But a little bit of an overstay for me, being a bit greedy again. Something that obviously most top laners tend to do. I was hoping in that exchange that we would have a little bit of pressure on Dragon, but apparently we did not, despite having Warwick, Pyke, and even the Jhin coming up the top lane. So it does seem like that there is a little bit of a jungle diff in this game, unfortunately. Which obviously, you know, is a bit of a problem because Skarner is a counter to myself.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
So I TP up to top lane to try and get as much as farm as possible, seeing that he is about to go away before it can arrive there. So I think just get the farm, because that is my priority. Still at the moment, it is still my priority to get as much farm as possible. Try and get as far ahead as possible with minimal risk. So, you know, which is something that that my teammates are not really allowing me to do at this specific moment. Which obviously at this stage in the game, if I'm not allowed to do that, then there's not really much I can do. So my next best thing to do right now is literally just try and farm up as much as possible. Try and take as much of the jungle as possible. The reason why I'm taking this jungle right now is because if I don't take it, the enemy team will. So, and what am I going to do sitting underneath the tower? Nothing. I am still going to get killed. Maybe I'll get a kill if I play it right.
Blue team's turret has
but
been destroyed.
it's going to be tricky. It is. If I just go back to the tower and just think to myself, well, I just want to get this exchange. So I ult the Warwick again, just to take him out of the equation. That's all I plan to do at this stage. I know I'm not really going to kill him in the 1v1. But if I can take him out of the equation and then kill him with the rest of my teammates when he's on our side of the fight, then that is actually quite a good ordeal. So the party for some reason comes into our base and tries to come in from behind. So, but I notice I am a little bit on low health. Maybe I should have just walked back to the podium to re-heal myself up. But again, I do cancel my recall because I realise actually we've actually got a bit of a push going. We have at this stage in the game right now because the Warwick is dead, the Skarner is dead, and so is the fight. So I just think, right, I'm going to take what farm I can for now, and then try and push it up as far as possible. But the Azir is there, which is a little bit of a problem, but maybe we can try and do something with the Belveth. There you go. And even though the Azir does push me back, it's not enough because he has gone Ludens. If he went the Undries, maybe he would be a little bit more of a problem for me, but that is not the case. So, but let's continue on. Dominic's Embrace has now been purchased for me now. I also did get a plated steel cap because although it is very annoying with Skarner, he's not really going to be dealing that much damage. Like, it is mainly AD. Like, it protects me against the Pike, it protects me against the Warwick. Not so much against the Azir, but I do kind of hope that that Azir can be dealt with by others, whether it be by the Twitch or the Nautilus, and then I can just basically continue the CC from that point. On top of that, then maybe even the Zeref can poke him down. But obviously they both are decent range. More so obviously on the Zeref. So again, just trying to focus on what my priorities are, not really on what my teammates want, which is another thing that I've learned a lot throughout 2022, is if you're constantly being pinged by your allies for not grouping up, sometimes what you need to realize is that you have priorities of your own, and if your allies are pinging you for not being at a team fight when it's clear off, it is gonna be most of the time a little bit more on them, because you know what your goal is. Whether it might be the right or the wrong call is obviously up for you to decide. It's not for your teammates to decide. So, as you can tell, the objective bounties, which I didn't say was actually even on, they are now starting to fall off because we are now starting to gradually catch back up. The Warwick, unfortunately, does get another shutdown on the Twitch, but maybe it was a matter of just get the kill, don't need to do anything else. So I am now at this point just trying to search for the Warwick, because I know he can be a bit of a nuisance. But we can't allow the enemy team to get any more dragons at this point. My whole job at this point now is just literally to try and be the pain in the backside where that really literally they just can't do anything because I'm literally in the front of them. So much so that Skarner has ulted me again. At this stage now, I have become very tanky while still dealing a good amount of damage. Which makes me kind of think now, you know, like, so my assumption is now at this point is that the Skarner should probably now no longer be ulting me. Yes, I am a threat. Yes, I am a nuisance. But what can a Skarner do against me? Not really that much anymore.
Red team's turret has been
So unfortunately the Zeref does die, but that was a bit of a tower dive. Maybe I should have taken an extra tower hit or two for the Zeref, but I did not expect him to go all in, to be honest. So yeah, as you can tell, the enemy team are starting to fall a little bit apart. As I said, they are a team that does very well in the early stages of the game, but you know, like, and they will fall off eventually. I have no option but to ult something. Probably the worst decision for me is actually taking care of the Warwick, because he's not going to be dying as quickly. Maybe I should have taken the fight, because he is a lot squishier, or maybe even the Jin. You know, maybe I could have taken the Jin for a bit of a ride. But the Warwick is also tanky because he's did by a Jak'Sho. But I am quite far ahead of Warwick now because he's just been grouping. You know, he hasn't really been farming all that much. And that's kind of the struggle with Warwick, really, with top lane. Is that he will fall off quite hard. Where at this stage in the game now, we're half an hour into the game now, Warwick is not going to be really doing that much anymore, especially compared to me. I've also got a Bramble Vest now, by the way, which does a lot to the Warwick. It will do a decent amount to the Skarner as well, because although it doesn't deal that much damage, he is going to be dealing damage to himself as he auto-attacks me. And I've even bought a full-blown full mail, by the way, now. So that just shows how far ahead I am and what my thoughts were going into this game. Just try and get ahead. Don't worry about what the enemy team are doing so much, because basically if they're going to be just continuing to try and get ahead by snowballing, not really that much that we are going to be able to do as a team comp. You know, especially in the early stages of the game. At this point, now we can do something. Now we can create picks. We can start up team fights possibly as well, as long as we are in the correct position. You know, and maybe you will see that in a few moments, that I am going to be doing quite a lot in possibly even the next team fight. So Dragon is not up for another minute and 3/4, so we've got quite a while away. But the Warwick is now having a bit of an exchange with the switch. Nautilus dies, but as well as that,
Red team double kill.
I actually kind of lazily just pressed my my Q there on the Azir as he stopwatches. Yeah, as you can see now, I've just become that unstoppable monster, which the enemy team probably do not have an answer to right now, because I've for a good amount have actually been farming, and although our Belvith didn't do that well at the start specifically, she's been doing a lot better, but that's more because she's been grouping with the team and actually doing stuff with the team at times. But the weird thing is that the Belvith is now trying to do Baron all on her own. Why? Don't ask, because even I do not know why. So they may get Baron off at this point. We shall see in a moment whether that is the case. They probably should look to try and do Baron if that is the case. If they do need, because they do need to end it fairly soon. Like, yes, they're one Drake away from getting getting the Ocean Soul, but you know they are starting to fall off quite hard. And knowing that I could be around, you know, that's a bit of a problem. Unfortunately, the Belveth dies. So I just think, right, we need to just start up a fight. This is the only hope that we have right now. Otherwise, we could be in a big, big problem. So we just go ham here. We do. Just try and do as much damage as possible. Really good ult from the Nautilus. Gotta say that. And we managed to get a double kill. We do, killing the Skarner. So now, what was a priority of Dragon for the Skarner's team is now basically fair game, because both junglers are both dead. But at this stage in the game, we are just far more stronger. Yeah, so as long as we just kill the enemy jungler every single time, we should have priority over Drake at this point. We should, because Skarner will even fall off overall, because he's not really there to deal damage, he's there to disrupt. You know, it's kind of similar to what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm not there to deal damage necessarily, I'm just there to be a nuisance. So we're now going to start taking care of Baron. Belveth is on her way. Skarner is still on the countdown timer. And I'll just basically protect the whole team from Jin's ult. So yeah. So we're doing quite a lot. We are. So now we've got Baron. Now probably the next thing is that we will probably want to do at this stage in the game now is just try and push our pushing advantage now, because we do push a decent amount. We are now full build, by the way. So our final item we started the build was Sunfire Aegis as another fight starts up for some reason. And this was another thing. I think this was another thing of they became so desperate, was that Warwick and Pike were both like, we need to end this game now. But I do feel kind of now at this stage of the game, that time has actually passed. So, you know, it is a matter of that they just need to get a good team fight. That's their that is basically their last hope, is get a good team fight. But because we have much better engaged, you know, we have a Nautilus into a Mordekaiser, even a Zera. You know, Velvet maybe even can do a good job. But as you can see from all of that, we managed to collectively, as a team, just shut them down. And because obviously we got Baron, we do also get the massive pressure pushing from Belveth as well. And the enemy team surrenders straight off of that. So we managed to get full build just about. We managed to get to level 18 as well. I don't think there was necessarily anybody else that got to level 18 at this stage of the game. Oh no, the Xerath did as well. So yeah, a very good game. A little bit annoying obviously at the start. We didn't have the best of early games because obviously it is a cheese Warwick top, and but you just had to persevere sometimes and just wait for your moment. You know, just because you don't have a good early game doesn't mean the game is over. Keep trying. Just try and slow down the game a little bit. That's what we did, and catch up. That's exactly what we did. Like you can see from the bottom of the screen there at the end, Warwick only had 3 items per, like actual items purchased. He built a QSS. When yes, I was ulting a fair amount, but at that stage in the game, he was just far too weak to take me on at this stage in the game, really. So you know, like a fair play, obviously. You know, it was a bit difficult, but we managed to turn it around in the end. If you do like the video though, do not forget to click the like button. It does help out a lot. We are going to be starting to do recording for League of Legends Ranked for the brand new season when it starts, which I believe is in the second full week of 2023. So hopefully be on the lookout for that, of which we are going to be obviously showing more champions of what I'm going to be playing for during next year. So hopefully you look forward to that. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it there. Enjoy the rest of your day. Like, comment, subscribe. I shall see you guys next time.